Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Gary Papa and Rob Jennings.
Saturday night, if you had the saw, Cobbs Creek Park had the firewood, and Santa left his reindeer at home, arriving in fine style today at Penn's Landing. But the big story on Action News tonight is another American threatened with death aboard that hijacked Kuwaiti jetliner on the ground in Tehran. This is day 5 of the siege, and the 5 terrorists on board say American Charles Kipper will be the next to die if their demands aren't met. Kipper, employed by the U.S. Agency for International Development, pleaded with control tower officials today to release 17 Arab terrorists jailed in Kuwait because, as Kipper says, his captors are very serious. 2 other Americans, both AID employees, were killed by the gunman earlier this week. A 4th employee is said to be still among those on board. Early today, the hijackers released 39 more passengers, leaving 17 still on board. And one of those 39 released today said the terror on this plane is indescribable.
Things are very tense. Sometimes they let you laugh. Sometimes they make the situation so tense that you think they're going to kill you the next moment. They are shooting. They are firing here and there. They've already killed 2 passengers, and I don't know, they say they have killed 2 more Kuwaitis, but I don't think so they've killed any more.
The plane itself is said to be so shot up that it's incapable of flying. Kuwaiti government officials continue to reject the hijackers' demands. The Iranian government is saying it's doing it all it can to end this siege. The U.S. State Department says it's using all diplomatic means possible to resolve this standoff. But is that enough? New Jersey correspondent Phyllis Burke asked that question of area residents today.
We took a random survey of some Christmas shoppers at Cherry Hill Mall today on the subject of Americans once again being held hostage in Iran. We asked people what they felt should be done to help the hostages.
My personal opinion probably would be best to send in military, see what they possibly could do for the people.
Before the administration does anything aggressive, sends in troops, or deploys gunboat diplomacy, we ought to exercise extreme caution, exhaust all diplomatic means and channels first.
The force is there in that country. Should just get out there and just take it over, take the plane over, take a chance.
I think also that the Americans should take some military action. That's a very strong statement, I know, but we must defend our people.
The president ought to step in and take some action on it. They can't let them do everything they want there all the time, see?
I think that there should be a better communications between the Iranian government and the United States, even though we don't have diplomatic relationship. They should do something to try to intervene and save the lives of those who are being jeopardized.
Although there was disagreement among those we talked with over U.S. military intervention, just about everyone agreed the U.S. should do more to persuade the Iranian government to resolve the standoff. Phyllis Burke, Channel 6 Action News, Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
A team of American scientists re-entered Union Carbide's ill-fated pesticide plant in Bhopal, India this Saturday. They're searching for clues as to the cause of Monday's deadly leak of lethal gas. The death toll is approaching 2,000. A new wave of health problems has begun affecting survivors who were exposed to that gas. Many have begun experiencing epileptic-like seizures. Thousands others continue gasping for every breath. A team of attorneys is headed for India tonight, headed by noted defense counselor Melvin Belli. They'll be representing the victims in a $15 billion class action lawsuit against Union Carbide. Professor Rand Rosenblatt, an expert of international law at the University of Rutgers Camden campus, says the class action suit is the only way the victims will ever get any compensation for all their suffering.
A situation like this, where you have thousands of people, many of them who are poor and illiterate, if they each one had to file their own lawsuit, it's very likely that many of them would never file a lawsuit. They would not know about it, they wouldn't know how to do it, they wouldn't have the money to go to a lawyer, and they would get nothing. What a class action allows is for some people who have been injured to represent everyone and say, we are going to present the interests of everyone.
Professor Rosenblatt says just where the case will be tried is a matter of much speculation, the United States or in India. Fire hit a Montgomery County church complex before dawn this morning. The fire at Calvary Presbyterian Church on Easton Road in Willow Grove destroyed a church school and an office building. Firefighters were able to save the church sanctuary. Pastor George Smith says he's received lots of invitations from nearby churches to use their facilities.
I don't think we'll need them. At least right now we're going to use the sanctuary for everything, and we'll just have to adapt for a while.
Regular worship services will be held tomorrow morning at Calvary Presbyterian. Easton Road, by the way, had to be closed for several hours today during the fire. No injuries here, and the cause is still officially under investigation. A Pennsylvania state trooper has been charged with murder and is being held without bail in the overnight shooting death of a Philadelphia man. 31-year-old Hiram Cartagena was an off-duty state trooper at the time. He reportedly told police he was sitting in a lounge on West Allegheny Avenue and that he was watching a drug deal taking place. The trooper says he identified himself and that a man named Jesus Valentine pulled a gun, and that's when Cartagena fired, killing Valentine. Police have not confirmed whether drugs were actually involved. A federal mediator has been brought into those negotiations between Philadelphia's Inglis House and Local 1199C of the Hospital Workers Union. Workers have voted to strike the home Monday morning if a new contract hasn't been reached. In anticipation of a possible strike, the home for the handicapped has moved most of its 273 residents to other health care facilities. More than 24 anti-abortion protesters are behind bars in Philadelphia tonight, charged with criminal trespass during a demonstration in the Northeast today. More than 30 protesters went inside the Northeast Women's Center on Roosevelt Boulevard, and they had to be hauled out by police. A restraining order was later issued by a Philadelphia judge limiting the number of pickets outside. The protest continued without incident. Those arrested are awaiting arraignment at this hour. Well, the jury has the case tonight in Jerry Falwell's $45 million lawsuit against Hustler magazine publisher Larry Flynt. In closing arguments today, Falwell's attorney reduced that amount from $45 to $10 million, saying that no one would quarrel with that figure on appeal. The suit stems from an ad parody in Hustler which depicted Falwell as an incestuous drunkard. Flynt's attorney told the jury that the issue in this case is whether anyone reading that parody actually believed it. Police in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, have recovered a baby's hairbrush and a blood-stained seat from a car in connection with the slaying of that 4-month-old baby. The hairbrush and the seat were in a car which had been in the baby's father's body shop. The 4-month-old child was reported missing last month and later found raped and beaten to death. Police are being tight-lipped about the evidence they recovered today. The Federal Aviation Administration has grounded American Central Airlines tonight. That's a regional carrier based in the Midwest. The FAA isn't saying much about revoking the airline's license, but the Chicago Tribune quotes sources as saying the airline may have flown planes which had been overloaded, doctored pilot training records, and forced their crews to fly without adequate rest. Meanwhile, government metallurgists have been called in to test some of the wreckage from that Provincetown Boston Airways plane that crashed late Thursday night near Jacksonville. 13 people died in the crash, apparently when a portion of the tail section simply fell off the plane. The commuter airline's been operating just 2 weeks after the FAA restored its license, which had been suspended for several weeks because of safety violations. A congressional committee has heard testimony that as many as 10,000 bogus doctors are treating patients in this country. The so-called doctors can be found in hospitals and private practices nationwide, having obtained fraudulent foreign medical degrees.
This man received a medical degree without attending a single class. He told House investigators he bought the shingle for $10,000.
I received a phony transcript with courses I never took and grades I never earned.
Authorities say there are at least 10,000 phony physicians in the United States. For the right price, middlemen like Pedro de Masones bribe officials at foreign medical schools to obtain the diplomas.
Clients pay me in the school from $5,225 to $27,000 for my services.
Through ads like these, he earned $1.5 million before postal inspectors caught him. Congressman listened to a tape that did him in.
What's your profession?
I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm also a PA, physician's assistant.
Yeah, I can be able to give it to you an MD.
Mail-order medics can produce tragic consequences. Loretta Branda's husband was given anesthesia by a fake physician during a simple operation and suffered brain damage.
He will be in need of round-the-clock nursing for the rest of his life, which, according to life expectancy projections, is 25 to 30 years.
Congressmen blame the medical licensing system, and legislation has been proposed to make it a federal felony to use phony medical credentials. Bill Greenwood, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
Still ahead on Action News tonight, Temple clashes with Penn in Big Five showdown at the Palestra. Gary Papa has the Saturday Sports Roundup. There's a new addition tonight to the Navy's nuclear arsenal, and AccuWeather is calling for a sunny Sunday. The forecast and more next on Action News. The president of the Philippines made his first public appearance today in a very dramatic way. First, President Ferdinand Marcos scolded his aides who had doubted his health. Then, to prove untrue the rumors that he'd undergone heart surgery, Marcos bared his chest and showed the aides that he had no scars on his chest. Marcos hopes to dispel any rumors that his 19-year regime is in trouble. His government is facing a growing communist insurgency and economic decline. The Filipino president was last seen in public on November 13th, and during his absence, a lot of people speculated that he underwent heart or possibly kidney surgery. Tonight, the Soviet Union says it doubts the sincerity of President Reagan's wish to end the nuclear arms race. The Russians say that Reagan's plan to go ahead with the MX missile cast doubts on his desire to limit nuclear arms growth. Reagan, through his support, reaffirmed his support of the MX at a news conference yesterday. The President and First Lady Nancy Reagan left the White House earlier today for a weekend visit to Camp David. President Reagan will reportedly be spending this weekend walking the first family's brand new dog. And considering what should be chopped out of the federal budget in order to cut back that mammoth $200 billion deficit, many of his aides are insisting on trimming defense spending, although the president is reluctant to do that. The country's defense arsenal has a boost tonight in Groton, Connecticut. The nation's first fast attack submarine to be fully equipped with cruise missiles was launched today. The USS Pittsburgh will be commissioned next year. It'll be fitted with a battery of vertical launch cruise missiles for long-range warfare. While 600 invited guests enjoyed these ceremonies inside the shipyard, a handful of demonstrators braved the bitter cold to protest outside. The federal government is promising a renewed crackdown on a big interstate business. It's bootleg cigarettes. And as we see in this report, there's a lot of money in it for those willing to take the chance.
The nation's busiest highway, Interstate 95, slices straight through the heart of the nation's biggest tobacco-producing region, eastern North Carolina. Huge billboards dot the roadway from border to border. The message, lowest price on the highway, and some say in the nation. Big attraction for interstate motorists.
Well, they have a lot of people, a lot of friends, either up north or down south, maybe Florida, and they want to take them back because they're cheaper here. Usually $3 or $4 a carton cheaper.
And because the prices are lower here, buying cigarettes in huge quantities and shipping them to the Northeast is profitable and illegal.
Oh, they've dropped $2 million worth. When they got caught with them.
Bob, a Maryland trucker, says he knew two cigarette bootleggers.
They can make a profit off of them. I mean, you take $10 a carton up there. What is about 6 down here? Who wouldn't?
It's that attitude combined with steadily rising cigarette taxes in other states that concerns some Washington analysts. They say during the past 7 years, cigarette bootleggers have been few and far between. Now the conditions are right for what Don Leaf described as a sort of piracy.
The economic incentives are so attractive now, we are a little bit concerned that smuggling without serious and continuing law enforcement might go up a bit again.
The State Bureau of Investigation says it hasn't arrested a cigarette bootlegger in more than a year. Now the watchword from Washington is be prepared to make some more arrests. Brian Glazer, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Big Five action at the Palestra this Saturday, and here's Gary Papa with the highlights.
Okay, Penn really had a shot at winning this one. They were leading at halftime, but in the second half, the Owls go out to a 17-3 surge, and they do win the ball game 70-57. Quakers put just about everybody on Granger Hall. Everybody there on Granger. He still gets the points. He had 15 in all. Carl Racine, though, was brilliant in defeat. He gets his own rebound right there and gets 2 of his game-high 20 points. But Granger Hall and Temple just much too much. Ed Coe did lead the way for the Owls with 17. There's Granger for a couple. Temple, 70. Pennsylvania, 57. Meanwhile, at St. Joseph's, the Hawks hosted Fairfield. Here's the freshman, Rodney Blake, going to the offensive boards there. He had 13. Bob Lejeski had 21. Hawks never trailed, so they won the ball game, 81-64. Nationally, Patrick Ewing and #1 Georgetown rolled over the running Rebels of Nevada, Las Vegas. How did he do that? Hoyas doing the running, 82-46. Ewing had 16. Here's Billy Martin for 2 of his 17 points. Not one of the Rebels reached double figures, just too much Ewing. Now, number 2, DePaul here, led by Philadelphia's Dallas Comegys, defeated Notre Dame 95-83. Dallas off the bench with 20 points, and next week, number 1 Georgetown will beat number 2 DePaul. That is the story in college basketball. The Sixers last night finally put together a consistent effort over a full 48 minutes. And they did so against the Lakers in a showdown at the Spectrum. Up by 8 late in the game, Sixers pull away and do it with Mo Cheeks. He took 18 shots last night, ended up with 19 points. This basket here by Mo following the break. Out to Clint, over to Mo. We'll make it 112-100 Sixers at this time. Cheeks, no hesitation, putting it up while Andrew was cold last night. Also, though, he has that great defense. Watch the steal there by Cheeks. That makes him so special. This play will end up with a basket by Moses Malone, who had 35 points last night. Julius Erving was 10 of 14. He had 24 points. Sixers win it by 6. And Scott Palmer talked to Mo Cheeks about that solid effort last night.
How much of a lift does this game give you, not only New York, of course, to look forward to Boston to be able to finally put a club away?
It gives us a lift, but it also lets us know we can maintain a lead. I think we did that well tonight. We maintained a lead we got early and late in the second half, and we maintained it. Because lately we had been letting them slip away, but tonight we maintained it, and going to have another game coming up Sunday, and it's going to give us a little confidence.
That's right. They host the Knicks tomorrow night. They're going after their 7th win in a row. Flyers hosting the Rangers tonight. The visitors got to be thinking about Monday night. The Flyers took them apart, although they tried to take apart Bob Froese right there. But on the night, the Flyers were far superior, winning at 6-2. Peter Zessel scoring here. Then we'll watch Dave Poulin scoring. Rangers have lost their last 9 of their 14 games, but Brad McCrimmon says do not take them too lightly tonight.
They'll be a little upset, I guess you could call it, maybe, about that game. And things bounced our way pretty good that night, and we have to be happy about that. But I know when they come in here Saturday, they're going to be revved up and ready to roll, and we'll have to be ready for them.
Flyers and Rangers tonight. Eagles hosting New England tomorrow. The Patriots have got one of those moving quarterbacks in Tony Eason. Likes to roll around. They have many offensive weapons. Eagles defense got to watch out for that, according to safety Ray Ellis.
They have some big weapons in their offense. You know, Stanley Morgan. They have Craig James back there in the backfield. They got a good quarterback in Eason. So they have the potential who's there. It's just a matter of getting things clicking in the right direction. They do have the potential to mix things up and kind of fire you up. But I think we're going to be ready. We're going to go after them and hopefully get a win this week.
Yeah, plus they got Irving Fryer, the guy from Mount Holly, New Jersey. It's a homecoming of sorts for him. Get that high five right there. Today, the Jets beat Buffalo. Ken O'Brien to a wide-open Wesley Walker. The Bills are 2-13, still the worst team around, while the best team, the San Francisco 49ers, are leading Minnesota in the fourth, 34-7. In baseball, Ricky Henderson is now a New York Yankee. He signed a 5-year, $8 million contract, while the Chicago White Sox have now said they're not going to sign free agent Greg Luzinski because he has been too free with the fork. Reportedly, they say Greg is up to 270 pounds. The White Sox are questioning his dedication, but don't question his appetite. Right now, he might find himself out of a job because of it.
Sorry to hear that, Gary. A number of area high school football players can really be considered heroes on and off the field this season because today they were honored by the Multiple Sclerosis Society at a luncheon at Veterans Stadium. The 11th South Jersey and Philadelphia athletes were named members of the MS All-Star team. They were voted to the team by their own classmates who contributed a penny a vote to the MS Foundation. In this way, the high schools and football players raised thousands of dollars for the battle against MS. You could fill up your fireplace or your wood stove with free firewood today, courtesy of the Fairmount Park Commission. The park held a free firewood day on Cobbs Creek Parkway near Addison Street. The public was invited to bring their power saws and stock up on just as much timber as they needed. The giveaway was good, only today, though, I want to remind you that at all other times, taking wood out of Fairmount Park is illegal. Milder weather, somewhat milder weather, is on the way, says AccuWeather. Tomorrow is going to be sunny and a couple of degrees warmer. A sunny Sunday on the horizon, and this is Philadelphia just after dusk tonight. Our high was 46 today. The low was 24 overnight. Right now, 36 degrees outside. The relative humidity is 54%. Atmospheric pressure, 30.03 inches of mercury and rising. southwest winds at 5, and that is where our milder weather is coming from. The jet stream has changed a little, and we're getting a southwesterly flow. It'll be clear and cold again tonight, though, a low of 20 in the suburbs, 30 in Center City. Sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high 49. Monday brings some clouds with a possible shower and a high of 52. Partly sunny and 49 on Tuesday, and then some clouds with a chance of showers on both Wednesday and Thursday. Finally tonight, it was a Christmas adventure that 110 area orphans soon won't forget. A dramatic entrance by a very special guest kicked off a floating Christmas party for the kids today at Penn's Landing. The children were all aboard the Spirit of Philadelphia cruise ship for a holiday bash sponsored by the Penn's Landing Corporation. The youngsters enjoyed an afternoon with Santa and his elves, and also on hand, the family of 6 who starred Julius Erving. No doubt this floating fantasy land will leave the kids floating on Cloud 9 for weeks to come. Prime Time is next on Channel 6, and tonight Gary Papa has the story of a 200-year-old treasure hunt that ended with the discovery of a sunken ship off the coast of Delaware. And you'll go behind the scenes at the world's largest dog show, a canine carnival at the Civic Center. Action News returns at 11. For Gary Papa and the entire Action News team, I'm Rob Jennings. We'll look for you later tonight.
From Channel 6, this has been Action News, the most watched news program in the Delaware Valley. When you see news happening, call the Action News tip lines by dialing News 6. In New Jersey, dial 966-6666. And in our Trenton Bureau, 396-6666.